Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I'm sure by now you've all seen the interview, or at least clips of the interview, that the ATF did with Face the Nation. The reason that's getting so much buzz is because of how ignorant they seem to be on the topic that they are charged with enforcing. I mean, they didn't know the correct terminology for things like saying this.
Both of them can shoot right through this 75-round clip.
They didn't understand what they were talking about, or even how to do things. I mean, you had the guy from Fat D was there. They're the ones who are making determinations on technologies. He didn't even know what he was talking about. It was an absolute S show. I mean, it was terrible, right? But there is one thing that I don't think is getting enough exposure, enough attention, and that is that the ATF suggests if somebody gets something in cash, you should deny them their rights. Let's talk about it. This video is proud to be sponsored by American Hartford Gold. Listen, if there is one thing that those of us in the firearms community understand, it's that you cannot rely on the government for your protection. Not with your life, and especially not with your wealth. Look, throughout our lifetime, the dominance of the US dollar was unquestioned, but that may be changing. As we face unprecedented inflation, the world's biggest economies are ditching the dollar for the yen. Banks are failing left and right, and the government is discussing a total control of all of your money with the new digital dollar. Don't let your life savings become a casualty of failing corporations or currency wars. Now is the time to call the only precious metal dealer that I trust, American Hartford Gold. They'll show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your wealth portfolio with physical gold and silver. With the finest products, amazing customer service, and a buyback commitment. American Hartford Gold has a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. American Hartford Gold supports content like this that is committed to bringing you the truth. Tell them I sent you and they'll give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first order. So call them now. Click the link in the description or call 866-856-2507. That's 866-856-2507 or text COPPER to 65532. Again, that's 866-856-2507 or text COPPER to 65532. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here, because that seems pretty wild, right? Why would you deny somebody their rights just because they're using cash as a form of payment, which is perfectly legal tender, obviously? Well, it's because they want to be able to track you. They want to be able to track you through your credit card, through your bank card, through your transaction. They can't really do that if it's cash. Now, obviously, there's going to be a 4473. That paperwork is going to be there for a while, so they can always, finger through that stuff. But they can't track you conveniently and easily. And the proof that I have for this is when they say this during that Face the Nation interview.
If somebody comes into your store in a border state and plunks down $12,000 cash money for one of these things, so that there's no credit card trail, my word, we hope that people will help us as Americans and continue to help us and not make that sale and protect our safety.
Now, obviously, in that clip, they're specifically talking about border states. But what are the border states? Well, they're huge. We have New Mexico, Arizona, California, which has a population larger than a majority of the states in this country, Texas. I mean, there is a huge host of southern states that are border states. And so basically what they're saying is, hey, look, if somebody comes in and they plop down a bunch of cash for something, deny them that sale and let us know about it. For no other reason than that they're not using a card. That's it. And why? Because they won't be able to track them. That's the only thing. It's not that they're going through the legal way of doing things, right? So you go into the shop, you fill out your paperwork, you undergo the background check, you do everything else that they suggest. Well, not suggest, it's law, I guess. But you go in and do everything that is required under law. But even if you do all of that, using cash should be a disqualifier. Now, that statement alone proves to me that they don't care about the Constitution whatsoever, and that somebody has a right to this, and simply using cash doesn't mean that that right no longer exists. But they want people to help them deny other people's rights just for that simple thing alone. And this is all coming from an agency who is simply supposed to enforce law. I mean, that is their charter, right? they is supposed to enforce the laws that Congress passes. And that is supposed to be the extent of it. They're not supposed to have an agenda. But watching that interview, to me, from the moment it began to the moment it ended, was just nothing more than pure propaganda. And really the only people that they're talking to in that interview are people that don't know any better. Because when you show them somebody who's the head of an agency, somebody who has the title of director, you automatically assume that that person is an expert in their field, that they know everything that they're talking about. And so those people who don't know any better, they take that as fact and they just run with it. Well, he's the director. He knows what he's talking about. How could you possibly say anything otherwise? Well, it's very clear to those of us who know any better whatsoever that he doesn't know what he's talking about, that those people don't know what they're talking about. They're not supposed to have an agenda. Their whole job is to enforce the laws that Congress passes. That's it, right? They're not supposed to think of it in any other way, shape, or form, not pro, not against. They're not supposed to have any type of internal agenda whatsoever, but they do, and it was clear from that video. And that's really what that interview did, was expose that agenda and expose the fact that they're not biased, is what I'm trying to say. They are completely biased in one direction, and even if Congress didn't pass a law, they're still going to come up and make up their own stuff to try and help achieve that agenda. And so it was really difficult to watch, but there's certain aspects of that interview that I think aren't being talked about quite enough. I obviously got that clip from GOA. GOA is somebody who had put that out there, and I thought it was fantastic that they put it out there, because I noticed that part when I was watching the interview as well, and it really kind of struck me as odd that they would say such a thing. But to be honest with you, there were so many things that struck me as odd that I'm not surprised that you're seeing so many of these clips show up here on the internet. People are just talking about it because it's noteworthy that these are the people, again, that are running this agency. And so we just can't let this go. We can't let it fall to the wayside and just go, whatever, that's kind of what we expected. No, you have to make light of each and every one of these things so that you can really expose what the real interest in that agency is. It's promoting an agenda, and it's nothing more than that. As far as law enforcement goes, obviously they're still doing that, but the people at the top are pushing something completely different, and that is something that does not involve the Constitution whatsoever. So again, the more I see of these, the better I feel about it, because people are letting other people know. So I wanted to share that little clip with you, and I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and you guys have a great day.